All right, what's going on, buddy?
Not too much, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. So this is actually our second time recording this. We had a time last week and we had some technical difficulties, but yeah, we should be all good now.
Yeah,
Do you
that was
want
a very frustrating hour. I
to?
felt
Yeah,
I felt terrible.
yeah, no, it was definitely on my end, which is a little embarrassing, but we're good now.
Worst things can happen.
Would you like to just introduce yourself real quick? You're about generally just what you do and yeah.
Yeah, my name's Jake Thomas, 29 years old. I reside in Hudson, New Hampshire. Um, Kyle and I have some mutual friends. That's how we met. And for work, I am a branch manager at an HVAC company that's family owned.
Yeah, and yeah, so I met Jake through a mutual friend. Um I mean, generally you're an awesome dude. Very we don't see each other or talk very often, but I've asked you for favors before and you would have taken your shirt off for me, so I appreciate that. But do you want to talk a little bit more? So you have a pretty large role in the company you're at, and I think that's a really key point of like I think it's great to have you on because a lot of people, especially around our age group, that's not usual, and I know that takes a little bit more stress than other people are probably used to or are willing to do. So I just maybe we can dive a little bit deeper into like what exactly you do, and then maybe how you got there. But we can kind of go back and forth. But generally, you've been there how long?
I mean, shoot, it's family business. My father's the one that started the business, I think going on 37 years now.
Yeah.
Legitimately, legally on the books, I've been on the books since I was 13 years old. So I
Yeah.
started at a extreme young age, and I can vividly remember, as I was a young kid, like, hey man, it's gonna be yours someday. So if you want it, it's there. But you got to put in the work and you got to show us you want it, you know. So starting at, I remember this 13 years old, I think it was like seventh grade or sixth grade. Yes, seventh grade. Going into eighth grade that summer, I remember just sleeping, and I think it was like first or second day in summer vacation. I remember my dad shaking me and ripping the covers off. And he said, "Get your rear end up. You're going to work, buddy." And when you start at the very bottom, I mean, it's just like anything in life. You start doing the grunt work, the stuff that not everybody else wants to do. So it started from me just helping making what they call slips, which are part of like to connect fittings together for ductwork because we have a full sheet metal fabrication shop. So basically, literally, I was just sweeping floors and running slips all day and tearing duct tape and putting them together. And I mean, I would do that for 8, 9 hours, you know what I mean? Just starting, there. And it kind of graduated from there. I worked, pretty much every summer and almost every vacation that I had during school. Fast forward through until probably my sophomore year of high school, then I really started getting involved in the end of the service side of things. So the actual equipment itself started off actually in commercial, just kind of, being a helper and being exposed to that side of the business where, you're doing service and replacement on, rooftop units in a commercial setting that can be anywhere from, the size of a traditional style HVAC system you see in a house all the way to stuff that looks like, a tractor trailer was parked on your roof. It's a unit like literally units you can literally stand in and just massive. So did that for a few years, graduated high school, did 1 year at UMass Lowell for business. I did 2 semesters and I had that hard conversation with my dad and I said, hey man, listen, I think I'm doing you a disservice by being in this, school here because I'm not really learning anything. it just kind of felt like I was just there taking classes. And when I'm thinking you're going for something that, like, for business, for example, you want to learn business, you want to learn business math, you want to learn percentages, you want to learn accounting, you want to know what, gross profit dollars are, you want to know what net profit dollars are, you want to know what indirect costs are, your overhead cost, all that stuff to run a business essentially. But it just felt like, I was back in high school, and I'm like, man, we're paying all this money for me to be back in high school. And, I'm told from other people that you don't even really start to learn, the business side of
For
things
like
till,
year 3.
yeah. And it's like, what is the point of that? Like, so
Looking back now, are you happy that you kind of brought that conversation up and were really realistic with yourself and what was going on? Because
yeah,
I think most people, especially with college, they feel like they need to, and most of the time they don't even know what they're going to be doing. Like, even if you knew you were going to be going to your dad's work after, most
mhm,
people just go, they owe their 200 grand, and then they're in a terrible spot. They don't know what they're doing. And most likely they would have learned more from actually working than they did sleeping through their 8 a.m. So
yeah. And I've seen that with other people I've known, going through high school and seeing them go through college, and, they're not even utilizing their degrees. And I'm looking at, like,
by
wow, they're
like
doing
80% of people.
Yeah, like legit. And I'm like, you're not even doing what you paid for your degree, and you went to this school that you paid, easily $35,000 a year.
It's
And I mean, that's a
crazy.
small mortgage on a house, man. you know?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, I haven't talked to anyone recently about student loans, but I know,
Yeah.
like, especially out of school, for people that strictly took a loan for everything.
Hmm.
I mean, they're making a $1,200 student loan payment,
Yeah.
depending on what you did. But
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have been able to make it out of there. I mean, you're making a mortgage payment right out of school, and you're living at your parents' house.
Yeah. And a lot of those
You can't do
people,
anything.
yeah. And a lot of those people too that are coming out of school, even if they're, if you're not careful with picking what you want to do, a lot of things, like if you don't know what you're going to be looking at financially towards the future, you're going to be in for a rude awakening when you get out of school, and bills and rent
Yeah, it's
and
rough.
utilities. And the thing is I kind of wish high school kind of taught you that, you know what I mean? Like, there's like so many classes I feel like a lot of people could benefit from, like, what's credit? You know what I mean? Like, teach that at a young age, because, and I mean, I'm guilty of it too, with the credit card. Oh, interest free, go ahead and you whack the thing. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, what do man, I got to pay this back, and you kind of put yourself behind, with like reckless
Yeah,
payment.
I think I even like overheard someone in like the locker room at the gym the other day saying something about, oh, you don't have a credit card, blah blah. Yeah, he's like, yeah, I made like that $35 payment or whatever it is. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's rough. And I mean, hey, I'm pretty much an open book. I mean, I did it at a young age, and I paid for it, and looking back on it, I'm like, your parents try to teach you stuff, right? But you never want to, like, when you're at like that teenager year,
You don't want to
you
listen.
always think you're right all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
So
it's
you're like,
tough.
oh, my dad's crazy, my mom's crazy, I don't know what they're talking about. But I really feel like if they had something like that in high school to teach you that at a young age, you're that much more prepared for the real world.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things, because even I did 4 years at UNH, and
Mm,
I was never like pressured to go to school, but in my head, like, that was the only option. And mostly because, like, silently, I'm afraid of, like, was always afraid of disappointing my parents. So, like, even
mhm,
going there, it just I UNH is the most expensive in-state
mm,
school you can go to. I happen to use my degree now, and
mm.
but to be honest, using that, just diving in, I probably would have excelled even faster than wasting my first 2 years not doing anything and just sucking at accounting.
Yeah, I mean, granted, my wife, she went to UNH too. She's got her bachelor's in biomedical science, and she uses her degree. So, like, in those instances
Yeah.
where you really need to go to college to have that applied degree and already have that plan. Like she's kind of one of the few that like, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing internships for this to make sure this is what I want to do while I'm going for my degree so that she doesn't make a mistake. And I mean, now she's doing, really well for herself, and she's really climbing the chain of command over there. And I think she's got a really bright future.
Yeah, I mean, and especially if it's something that you're interested in, like that,
Yeah.
that I know zero about, and I can get, yeah, that's much different. But I mean, maybe like, especially for like the trade you're in, that's more like you dive in, and that's the best way to learn. I mean, even for like graphic design and marketing, I could have learned that all this shit online.
And a lot of things that you learn too, which if you learn this at a young age, you got to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. You got to get uncomfortable with the things that you don't know, because as you are in those uncomfortable situations, that's how you grow in your career and as a human being at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think building relationships is really tough for people too, especially being uncomfortable. A lot of people don't want to branch out at all. And again, even with like this podcast, I plan on speaking to people that I would generally never speak to. And that's like another reason I kind of want to step out of my comfort zone, because even growing my business now, there's like literally nothing that could go wrong. I mean, what are they going to say? So talking to all these new people, I mean, it's a great way to build relationships, and yeah, if you're comfortable you're doing something wrong, I totally agree.
Yeah, because that's the only way you grow. I try to teach my guys that start out as apprentices. Like before I even put them out in a vehicle, like first off, they got to be actively getting close to finishing school to get the basics, or they're out of school. And I always tell them, you got to get comfortable with the uncomfortable, and it's 4 walls, no ceiling. How far you want to go? You use that in your work life, and you use that in your personal life, because if you're in, I'll give my dad some props, because he's got some good sayings. He says there's paycheck takers and there's paycheck makers. So, it's basically how much do you want to put in to be able to get out what you want,
which is 100% true. Until like maybe 2 years ago, I probably would have been confused or thought I knew, like, oh yeah, I'm definitely doing that. But I mean, again, I just worked 9 to 5. But I mean, as hard as you're willing to work, depending on the company, if you're working for a company, that could not be true, because some companies are just terrible. I mean, but yeah, if the harder you work, the more money it's going to come. And I think even starting my company, it obviously I want an additional income, and that to be my full-time gig. But the biggest thing was working for myself. I've seen like a lot of things not be handled like the way that I think would be the most beneficial, and then the money starts coming from there. And I lend out a lot of advice for smaller companies that can't even necessarily afford like working with me. And whether I get paid or not, that's kind of a side note, just because I think that's the best way really to run my business, at least. But another thing is, especially having a young son, I think a big goal of mine is growing up and trying to teach him some of those things about, I mean, not only just like credit, money, but like trying to set him up best as possible to be successful and have the right mindset, and not just go like day in day, like going paycheck to paycheck, because I don't know how people do that. I'm about to turn 27, and if I go much longer, I'm gonna go insane. So I actually, now that I think about it, I don't really even know, like, I talked about the last podcast, talked a little bit of like, there was a point that I knew that I could do it myself, but I don't know the mindset switch that happened where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Most of the time it's the manager, though, I think. And you manage a lot of employees. So is there something that you really taken in mind when kind of either not just like giving orders, but like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you do reviews and everything like that,
Yeah.
and managing day-to-day schedules.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we do yearly reviews. You know, when you got a new guy that comes in, we have a 90-day review with them, kind of like a probationary period, just to see, what they're able to bring to the table and see if they meet or if not exceed expectations. Where you get compensation for that. If you get guys that are really excelling and they're doing the right thing and getting more licenses and really excelling in their career, they get compensated for it. Like I've told, like I go back to that saying, four walls, no ceiling, how far you want to go. I try to treat everybody the same and give everybody the same opportunity. You get people that want to just work their 40 and go home. That's it. Then you got the other guys that want to do the extra. I would say in my position, I would say the hardest thing is managing people.
Yeah.
Over my business, over anything I've done in the company is managing the people, because you get a whole different cast of characters. Everybody's different. Everybody's brain works differently. Everybody has a different personality, and you have to know how to manage those personalities. And I mean, I'll be the first one to tell you, I've made some mistakes along the way where, looking back at it, like, yeah, I could have probably handled that situation a little bit differently. I've never disrespected anybody or
Mhm.
tried to or purposely put them in an uncomfortable situation to make them want to leave the company. But each instance I've had with that person, and if they've left for whatever reason, I take that as a life lesson that when I get put in that same position, I know how to handle it differently.
Mhm.
The work itself is not hard. Getting the work is not hard. Even dealing with the customers for myself is not hard. Like I said, at the end of the day, it's the hardest part about being in my position is managing the people and keeping everybody happy.
How do you deal with the crazies?
The
Like,
crazy.
but when I say, I mean like upset
Are you
customer,
talking about employee crazy? Or are you talking about customer crazy?
the
Because that's
the customer crazy, because no matter, like, even if you guys do an amazing job,
Mhm.
there's going to be someone that either like leaves a shit review or calls pissed off for in yeah, I mean, things always happen, and then you can correct it all you want, but to the wrong person, I mean, the littlest thing that you couldn't even helped will set someone off, and then I
Yeah.
know that's not easy to deal with. So
Yeah, well, the biggest thing in my business is communication with the customer and simplifying everything. And that's what I teach all my guys that, some of the younger guys, they're afraid to communicate, which is expected.
yeah.
I've been in their position. I've been in the field. I've been in their shoes. I know what it's like, and communication is key. But like you said, you're gonna get that customer no matter what you do. There is nothing that you're gonna be able to do to please them. At the end of the day, you just have to accept that. That
Yeah.
one customer, don't let that one customer deter you from wanting to do a good job, or make them as the example. Like, that's how all customers are going to treat you. Because just like, people in your personal life, you're never going to make everybody happy no matter what you do. You could bend over backwards and break your back and give them the shirt off your back and do everything and kiss their feet.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, it's just, it is what it is. And at that point, if we have that negative experience with that client, and they want to talk bad, then I politely say, hey, you want to know what? I think, unfortunately, we're not the company for you. And I think there might be somebody else that could give you something that maybe we're not,
Which
you
they're
know?
probably not, but that is
No,
probably a good way to approach it.
no. What I will tell you, and I will pride myself on this at the end of the day, um, everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect, but how you respond to those mistakes and how you come up with those solutions to make it right at the end of the day is what matters to people.
Yeah.
And I will promise you right now, there's not anybody around um, us in our area that will go to the lengths that we do to make our customers happy at the end of the day. Because I
Yeah.
really strive for that. Because I never want that person to say one bad thing. Like I said, you're gonna get those people
Mhm.
that no matter what you do, they're gonna say that. But I really try to put my best foot forward with that.
Yeah, no, I think that's key. I mean, even one of my clients, they have over 55 stars on Google. and
Mhm.
we get this 1 star. It was
Mhm.
over a scheduling thing that was not of the company's fault.
Yeah.
So just a nice reply. And then I go and click on their review history, like Google review history, because you can see everyone's. There
Mhm.
was 10 1 stars over the last year. I'm like,
You're just miserable.
I'm like,
In your life.
so
Like, you know,
I talked with the my client, and then, but
yeah.
I mean, what, and you can't, all you can do is be like, is go to Google and
Yeah.
just ask for a rebuttal. But
Yeah.
if they didn't like swear or do anything, it's not coming down. And yes, I mean, if anything, it makes you seem like even a more of a real company, because you're gonna
Yeah.
have a shit review from some
Yeah.
crazy. So
Yeah, there's people out there that buy friggin' reviews, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And you know, and we don't, you know, I'm not like that. Like our reviews right now, I'll be straight up with you. I want my reviews to be higher on Google, but my company on the residential side, I think last time I checked, it's like 4.2 or 4.3 stars. You know, I want to
the
get
more
to
reviews,
four and a
I
half.
mean, the higher. I mean, that's gonna happen.
Yeah,
So
it will, and we're you know, we're starting to try to push those reviews even more as we go. You know, we are working with a gentleman in SEO that's dedicated strictly for HVAC.
that is not
Like
me,
I was
by the
telling you
way.
about.
I'm not.
I
I'm
I
not.
know.
No, no. I'm just saying I'm not biased.
Yeah,
Jake and
yeah.
I do not work with Jake's company. We're just friends.
Yeah, yeah, no, and you know, down the road, if God forbid something were to
that
happen,
that
opportunity
was
presents
I
itself,
wasn't
you
even
know.
bringing it up. I was like,
No, I
I'm
know,
like,
but
oh, whoa,
I'm
whoa,
just
that's not
saying.
me. That's not me.
No, I know, but there's always opportunity down the road. You know, you never keep a door closed. That's the way I look at it. You
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. And then you kind of hit on the point too of
Mhm.
what makes me think is a lot of, no matter what, you can't make anyone happy, especially like working long hours, or even
Yeah.
with like certain like friends or family. I mean,
Mhm.
depending on like schedule, you don't know, you don't have time for everyone.
No.
I know I definitely don't, and I
Yeah.
think it definitely shows, like if someone's getting mad because you're if I'm spending my time elsewhere with either my son or the work, that's pretty much all I do.
Yeah.
So I mean, if I reach out to someone once a month, I mean, that's lucky. So, and
Yeah.
it's I think that's really key too, is just like having the right people. Like, I know everyone says it, but like in your circle, I mean,
Mhm.
I
That's key.
yeah,
That's key. Like having the right people in your circle and having the people that have the same mindset. Um, you know, helps with that. You know, I'm lucky where my wife understands and she gets it. And I told her straight up when I first met, I'm like, listen, this is what I do for business. If you expect me to work 8 to 4 and be home right at 4:15, it's probably not going to happen because I'm in a demand business. So when I get those calls that they got no heat, no hot water, no AC, they need plumbing work because we also do plumbing too. Um, you know, we got to go, and you know, we're a reactionary business at the end of the day, and you know, it's feast or famine. You know, so you got to go out there and get it.
yeah, no, I totally agree.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I was out of the house at 5:30 this morning. I think I got back at 6, and I
Yep.
mean, it can be much worse sometimes. So
Yeah, it can be, and it can be exhausting, and it's not like when you touch base on, like, you know, you not having time to reach out and you're trying to prioritize yourself. Um, don't be afraid to take a day for Kyle. You know what I mean? Because you'll see, and I've been guilty of this too. Like, you're like hammering work. You're doing 60, 65 hours a week. You're doing your stuff after work, you know, and you're trying to hit your goals and hang out with your friends and everything else. But don't be afraid to take that one day to just woosah. You know what I mean? Just relax, you know, you know, keep the phone on do not disturb, hang out with you know, your son and Steph, you know,
mhm.
you got to do that because that mental reset um kind of refreshes your brain and refreshes your emotions and stuff like that to keep pushing because you can burn out. Everybody burns out at one time or another. Like I see, you know, all these like big moguls or whatever on Instagram. They're like, you know, if you're not doing this, that, and the other thing, then you're never going to be successful. I'm like, no, they are right. You got to
Yeah,
go through a lot of pain and a lot of time to get where you want to go. Like I said, four walls, no ceiling. Let's go back to that.
yeah,
But once in a while, dude, you really need to take the time to reset yourself, because if you do burn out, you're gonna lose the love, you're gonna lose the passion, and it really starts like, during those key hours of work when you get burnt out, your production is not there. So once
Mm.
in a while, don't be afraid to take that, day for yourself, to just relax and reset.
And if you're listening, that is not an excuse to be a little bitch.
No, no, there's a
No.
there's a difference. Like, listen, put it this way: if you are working Monday through Saturday and you've put in 65 hours on Saturday and you've done all your, ancillary stuff that you have to do outside of work, and Sunday rolls around and you are just friggin' burnt out, it is okay to take a day for yourself.
Or
But don't
just
be
or
like,
just a couple hours.
yeah, or just a couple hours,
Couple
it,
hours.
it, it depends. It depends, but everybody's different. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that couple hours could be like, you know, uh, going out to, brunch with your parents, you know what I mean? Or it could be like, for me, like my biggest outlet for me to relax and reset is enjoying, the fruits of my labor. Me, dude, I'm a massive gearhead. Anything
Which
with
I
a motor-
want, I do want to talk about it. So
yeah. Yeah, that's what gets me. That's what reignites the passion for me to keep going and be successful. Besides, obviously, having my wife and want to start a family and everything else like
Yeah.
that, and to keep excelling. But that's that little extra that I think has added to my work ethic is, my hobbies. That's kind of where it started. Why I wanted to keep working hard, because I wanted these things for myself, and kind of just snowballed from there.
yeah. So if there's someone that works hard and plays even harder, it's probably you.
Yeah.
Um, so do you want, so I know you have a couple of toys and
Yeah.
you grew up like just motorsports, correct? Because I don't know,
Yeah.
like I know you you race snowmobiles, right? And I
Mhm.
know him from Harleys and all the crazy shit and his
Yep.
big ass trucks and stuff like that. So
Yep.
do you want to talk a little bit like just because I think it's awesome. Like you grew up, how did you get into that? Was it your dad?
Oh yeah, my father. My father's cut from the same cloth. The apple did not fall far from the tree, and I think that's kind of where it started for him too. And he kind of taught me that at a young age. And I think him, in instilling the love of motorsports at a very young age, kept me out of trouble, like big time. Like, dude, I can honestly tell you right now, you never caught me at an underage party under 21 years old. I never, not that I look down on anybody smoking weed, because I think it has good applications and stuff like that,
Yeah.
But like, dude, I wasn't smoking any weed. I never did any hard drugs.
Too busy in the garage.
Yeah, I was messing in the garage. I was, wanting to get that next part from my four-wheeler, and I want these tires to be able to give me a better hole shot so I can do a sicker wheelie on the the dirt. That was my idea of fun. And that started like a young age. Like, dude, I was 6 or 8 months old on my first snowmobile. My dad had a picture of me,
Holy shit.
all bundled up, dude, in the front of my dad, him holding me with one arm, just like, buzzing up and down the lake on the first house I grew up in. And it kind of just went from there. I mean, I've always had that stuff growing up, and again, that kind of came from, and I was a very lucky kid that my father built this great empire of a company to be able to provide for his kids with those things, and gave me that opportunity. But here's the difference is they don't, it's easy to look on the outside and be like, oh, he was a spoiled little brat and all this other stuff, and daddy bought him everything. It's like, dude, like I had to get good grades. I had to show up at work when asked.
At 13?
Yeah, 13. Like,
Yeah,
granted, I
that's
wasn't
crazy.
working at 13 like during the school days, but like there was weekends I was going out there and doing, washing the truck, sweeping the shop, doing whatever. And it's like, dude, if I didn't do that stuff, like, dude, you're just gonna sit in your room with no TV, no Xbox, no nothing. Like, he taught me at a young age that I'm not gonna get the things that I want if I don't put in the work for them.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, even if they were to grow up like that,
Mhm.
and then now they like they have it under their name, or they have like a $1,000 truck payment or like a $700 UTV, but they still live at home because they don't value hard work or anything like that, which is the exact opposite of you. So, and I know so you have a Harley, you have your Vet, which is insane.
Yeah, I just got the Vet, dude. That I gotta take you for ripping that thing. It's sick.
So what year is that? Because you
That's
had a different one which I've seen.
Yeah.
What do you have now?
So to start, my dad has had so many Corvettes growing up. Like how he got into the car thing was his stepfather was a dealer in Methuen. And he worked on the lot and stuff like that before he got into HVAC. So that's kind of where his gearhead stuff started. And he's been a big GM fanboy, and he's had a slew of different Corvettes over the years. So I wanted a Corvette when I was a little kid, seeing dad have them, right? So I finally, last year, the year before, so 2 years ago, I finally had the opportunity to be able to buy my first Corvette. So I bought a '01 C5 Z06. Did a couple of things to it, enjoyed the heck out of it because I've always wanted a sports car, but never had the means to be able to pay for it until just recently. Had that car for a little bit. It was nice, but it wasn't my dream car. Ever since I was 12 years old and I saw the C6 roll out, I was like, that is my dream car. I used to have posters of those things all over my walls. Watching YouTube videos of them and just anything Corvette I wanted since day one. This one kind of fell into my lap, go figure, right as I was getting married. Funny story, I did the paperwork on my first day of my honeymoon. right when we were on our honeymoon, I said, listen, don't kill me. I was like, I'm buying this car. I'm sorry. It's the opportunity fell in my lap. So it's a 2008 C6 Corvette base, but it's a 3LT Z51. So it's a fully loaded. It's an '08 6-speed, has the LS3, and it's pro charged. So it's got a P1X pro charger, real light boost, modest, just only on 6 pounds. Has a big boy intercooler on it. It has 1 7/8 Cook's headers, 3-inch Cooks, X pipe, no cats. So the only thing I really done to it was just put a different muffler setup, and the thing's rowdy.
Yeah,
Makes
I'm sure there's also a long list of things that are going on it though.
Yeah, actually, no. The only things I have planned for it is if everything goes well, if I hit a financial goal for myself at the end of this year, I will be doing a cam and a clutch in it. But I've learned that, I want to have all this crazy stuff, but at the same time, I learned at a young age that like, I don't want to put myself out, away from my means. So it's like, I'm starting to like, it's kind of funny me saying this because it's like, wow, Jake, you're getting older, but it's like kind of wisdom a little bit. Like I want to be able to have my fun, but not string myself out. Like you said, check to check over all this stuff, so I'll do the drop in cam and the clutch, and it'll make a modest 620, 650 rear wheel horsepower. And that's plenty. It makes 565 now at the wheel, and it's pretty sick. It's almost too much. So I just want to get a little more efficient, and I'm going to be happy with it.
I think everything's relative though, because like even your last one was a beast. So
yeah.
Do you think do you think in a year and a half you'll be like, all right, let's kick it up?
I'll determine that after I do the cam. But here's the thing though, like if I want to go above that point with the cam, you're then getting into all the additional stuff of drivetrain. So anybody out there that's a big gearhead like myself, and I know you've had bikes and stuff like that too, so you get it. Horsepower finds the weakest link, and you can only get horsepower 3 ways: it's cheap, fast, reliable. You can only pick 2. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you're going to build some big power and you're not going to spend the expenses of building, a good foundation, you're going to break stuff real quick, and then that gets real expensive. So like after that 620, 650 real wheel horsepower, it gets expensive because then I'm talking trannies, I'm talking rear differentials, and I don't know if I really want to get into that because I'm hopefully in the next couple of years, I want to be able to have some land purchase so I can start building a house.
Yeah, so that's a great segue. So you have your toy that you've always wanted for now.
Yep.
You have
I just did a mild build on the new bike.
Yeah, you have a bike that's it looks awesome.
Yeah, it came out good.
You have a pretty solid truck.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you have like in your head? You can dive into the land, or if you have a couple things, like you had kind of mentioned, which I loved, was everyone like, oh, it has all these like dream things, because I mean I do too, but there's like, if I hit this point,
You
and
know,
then
you
even
made it.
it might not even like be enough. You might be like, nah, let's push it further. Let's push it further.
Yeah,
So is there something that you have like other than the land, or if not, dive into that? Because I think that's super relative too.
I think, in my mind, that's tough because I just kind of feel like I might be a little insatiable. Like I'm, I don't know. I feel like I would be happy with myself if I have own two homes. I have my dream cars in the garage, and I have some toys that I can share with my family, my kids.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of where I think I've made it. I think I will feel that I've made it when I've achieved the success my dad has had, if not go above it. And not as like a competitive way of me going above it, but
Mhm.
he's built a kind of a dynasty for himself, and I want to come in the second generation and take it that next step for possibly the third generation to take over.
Yeah,
You know,
but I think everyone genuinely, especially hard workers, entrepreneurs, and business owners, I think, and me more than ever, is I think everyone has these goals, and you think, oh yeah, like I'll get to this point and I'll be happy. I think
Mhm,
if you are truly a grinder and that's what you stand for, and
mhm,
you're really set up, I don't think, I mean, I have this, again, it's all relative, but like I'm in the best spot that I've ever been in, but
mhm.
I feel like broke.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
Just because there's always like,
You want more.
I mean,
Every
there's a
person
difference
does.
between like being satisfied and then having drive. So I don't know exactly how to explain it other than, yeah, like we all have these things we want to shoot for, but I mean, I think being like you kind of mentioned like being happy is what is it exactly? Because I think,
It doesn't come just from material things though, so that's
yeah,
the biggest thing. I don't want to sound like the material things is what's gonna make happiness. Is it gonna, is it gonna definitely help? Yes, but I think besides having, hitting those goals, like, you get the house you want, you get the car you wanted, you get those vacations you want to take on, whatever everybody's vice is.
yeah, yeah,
Um, I would say that having friends and family and loved ones to share it with, that's what makes it all that much sweeter. And I think being having all that stuff, but then being alone at the end of the day, I think it wouldn't hit the same, and like my dad provided me and my mom and my brother and sister like with a real good life, and he, worked for it. He busted his butt and he still does every single day. Um, and I want to be able to provide that for my future family, and to be able to share the wealth with my family and my friends too. That's when I think I would have made it where I can kind of share it with everybody, and to be able to enjoy it.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Everyone kind of has
Yeah.
a different point where they feel like that's right.
Yeah.
So the land is like the land the next piece for you, like that's the next
Yeah.
shooting point.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be the next shooting point. Like I said, I'm not actively looking right now. I want to kind of hit like that age. Like I want to be, so I'm 29 now. I want to be 32 and hopefully have a piece of land scoped out. If
Yeah,
not within
I
a
like
couple of
that.
months after that, that's my goal.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's more of like I talk about vision boards all the time now. It's more like a
Mhm,
vision board type thing.
mhm.
So you mentioned like two houses. Is that like currently in New Hampshire, or are you thinking like
In New
warmer?
In New Hampshire, dude, my dad has had a few lake houses up at Lake Winnipesaukee, and that is like one of my favorite places to be.
It's the
I
best.
have, yeah, dude, I've had such great childhood memories up there with my family, and I'll really feel like I really did something if I'm able to have a place up there.
Yeah,
That's one of my
I feel
dreams.
that too. I feel that
Yeah.
too.
And it isn't going to be anything crazy. Like, I'm not looking to have like, an 8,000 square foot, massive, crazy house, like looking to like
I am.
to flex on people. Hey, that's
I am.
cool. That's cool. I want like the nice, like clean house where I can like entertain people and have like a dock, and I can have like
Yeah.
a boat, couple of jet skis so the kids can go have fun. And that's when I'll feel pretty satisfied with myself, I think.
No, I definitely agree. I think
Yeah.
I don't know if I do love like Winnipesaukee. I don't know if my second house will be in New Hampshire though. I can't do the winter no more. I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I was down in Daytona, for Daytona Bike Week, we were down there for the week, and I'm like, wow,
It's nice.
Florida hits different, man.
Yeah, it's nice.
It does. And like, I hear some people like, oh, it's like a grid and it's too hot and this, that, and the other thing. But I don't know. It's just a vibe down there, dude. I don't know what
It's
it
nice.
is. We went to Cocoa Beach while we were down there, like on a ride back. And man, what a beautiful place.
One of my vision board things is like house in like Tennessee or one of the
That'd be
in the Carolinas. I love it down there. I visited a couple times, and Tennessee
Yeah.
is like when I go is like my vibe. I love it.
Mhm.
It's just I don't know. Something about it makes you feel so good.
What's what is like the vibe down in like Tennessee? Like how would you explain it?
I just like so I live like out in the woods, like we're totally by ourselves. It's more
Yeah.
like that. I mean, it's other than
Yeah.
being super flat, it's
Yeah.
everything's more spread out. Everyone you talk to is so nice
Mhm.
for the
So
most.
Southern
I mean, for the most
hospitality,
part,
man.
for the most part at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, as far like I eat pretty clean, but
Mhm.
that food, oh my gosh,
The barbecue, man.
yeah, it's so good.
Yep.
So
I can
good.
only imagine.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of times I think when you like travel to a place, you're like, oh, I could live there. But now that I've been a couple of times, and last time I went, I was like I was like, okay, I actually want to think about could I live there?
Mm.
I just enjoy it.
Yeah.
And honestly, somewhere that like you can still get a little bit of like not scorching in the summer and like the winter months, but
Mhm.
I just don't do the snow no more. I can't do it.
Yeah. That's the thing with me, man. I love
Yeah.
snow. That's
This
the other
past
thing.
weekend you were on your snowmobile.
Well,
It's
I was
April.
on for the race team. So we had this past weekend was a memorial for the person that pretty much owned the team, which was my buddy's father, Mike Evangelisti. It was a memorial for him. He unfortunately passed away unexpectedly last June. He was working on the shop on sleds and unfortunately had a unexpected heart attack and then was found later. And you know, that was rough. He's known me since I was 19 years old when I first started doing the snowmobile racing. Um, Funny story, how we met is I had my own sled this season, so like I bought it and basically was paying my own way for racing that year. Was doing good. We're at one of the races, and him and his son Cam, who's like one of my best friends, they walk up to me like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "What's up, man?" He goes, "Do me a favor." I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "See that sled over there?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Ride it." I go, "What?" Like this dude just walked up to me, told me to ride his friggin' race sled. I'm like, I don't know this guy. I'm like, I was like kind of taken aback. I'm like, are you serious? He goes, yeah, I'm serious. I go, okay. And then Cam walks up to me. He's like, don't let off. I go, okay, challenge accepted. So I took that sled, and I'm pretty sure I won the class that weekend, like by a pretty good margin in that class. And then I get back down after one of the runs, and he was like, "You're hired." I'm like, "Well, then that sounds good." So I started
Yeah.
racing them when I was like, I think like 21, 22, somewhere in
Dang.
that age bracket, and kind of snowballed from there. And besides just racing the snowmobiles, like Cam ended up being one of my best friends. Talk to him all the time. He was one of my groomsmen in my wedding. His father was not just a guy that was giving me a free ride. Like he ended up kind of being another father figure to me, if you will, and gave and taught me a lot of life lessons and how to handle situations, because he himself owned his own business. And I would kind of tell him that some of the stuff I'd be dealing with and the qualms I had, and he would just kind of be that listening ear and give me some advice. And I would take that advice, and it ended up being really good advice and paying off.
Mhm.
So it was a big loss. So that race this weekend was for him. Not to get gloom and doom on us, but it did get cut a little bit short because there was unfortunately a fatal incident this weekend. Yeah.
Oh, that's a bummer.
And that's another gentleman that I didn't know him like Mike, but I've been racing in that, circuits and stuff. We've been around him for, 10 years or something like that, or 8 years or whatever. But yeah, he was a good guy. I actually before that situation happened with him, I was talking with him 35 minutes prior, just catching up because I hadn't seen him in a few years because I kind of took a step back from sleds and kind of was prioritizing things.
Yeah.
And he just, when he was talking to me, like, he reminded me so much of Mike, and it was a crazy situation. Nothing that anybody did, the race series or anything. It was
Mhm.
literally a fluke accident. It didn't even happen during a pass.
Really?
It happened coming down the hill in a return lane, and I think it was health related, but it's kind of only speculation for now. And I wish nothing but the best for his family. It couldn't have happened to a nicer guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah, and at that point, like, they still held the other half of the races on Sunday, and I just didn't feel right. So
Yeah, it's a tough thing,
out.
especially just
Yeah.
speaking to him. That's
Yeah,
not an easy go.
no, not at all.
Um, a little bit about, you had kind of talked about how those gentlemen were a little bit of mentors and taught you a lot of lessons, whether it's in business or life. And
Mm.
I think that's a great thing that this podcast can hopefully add to people, especially talking to like people from such like diverse backgrounds. Everyone comes at something at like a different perspective, whether it's where they're at in their business or life, relationship, whatever it may be. I think that can add a lot of value, and hit someone at a different point depending on what they're shooting for. If they're trying to start a business, if they're kind of stuck in their role, or just want to, I don't know, change things up.
Yeah.
And one other point that I have written down I wanted to bring up is, how important do you personally think it is to take risks to be successful?
I think that's a part of it, man. You got to be willing to take those risks. It's got to be a calculated risk. So that's the difference. You have to.
I feel that, yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be a calculated risk. You don't want to bite your nose off to spite your face. You kind of have to prep for those risks and have kind of a fallback, but you do kind of have to take them in order for you to take that leap of faith to be successful. I mean, you did it when you stopped, working for the man, if you will, and you went on your own, and now look at you. Steph is able to stay at home mom,
Yep.
and you're able to support yourself, your son, her, and it's paid off for you, man. And like I said, you're getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, and that was a really uncomfortable situation, but it kind of makes or breaks you when you get into that. So it's kind of like, the strong will survive, and you're kind of the guy that there's nothing that is going to make you fail. And you know what, you can you can get knocked down 8 times, you're going to get up 9, and I'm kind of the same way. I mean, I'm going through some stuff right now at work, a bit of growing pains in some situations, and it's going to always have its trials and tribulations. But if it was easy, everybody would do it. And there's a reason why not everybody does it,
Yep. No, I think that's true. And
mentality.
yeah, it's a big thing. And that's
Mhm.
why I think that's one of the things that I'd like to bring up when I kind of talk to everyone, because I think you're right. Calculated risk is important, but I also think a lot of people, to when I mentioned earlier that everyone's just stuck in their 9 to 5 because that's what's
Mhm.
comfortable. And yeah, you make this little bit of money every week, and then you check your bank account, make sure you can pay for your gas. I mean, there's, no matter what it is that you want to do, I think a part of that is, I think a lot of people care too much about what everyone else thinks.
Yeah.
So like, even this podcast, I don't give a fuck if someone watches it, or if they think I'm fucking ridiculous, or if I'm stuttering, which I do all the time. The biggest
Hey
thing
man,
is,
I was in speech therapy when I was 4 years old, dude. I was a big guy, big time.
yeah, I still do it. So
Yeah.
I listened to the other one and I was like, oh boy. But yeah, I think I think just not kind of pushing forward and do whatever you think is important and what you want to shoot for.
Mhm.
And if that's starting your own business, if that's shoot, I don't know, traveling the country in a van, the folks I talked to in the last podcast, like that is that I think everyone in their life has already thought about that, but
Yeah.
nobody does it. That right there is a huge risk in itself.
One of
So
my employees did it.
yeah,
Did
I
it for
think
a
it's
whole year.
awesome.
He worked with me for a year, and he walked up to me. He's like, "Hey, dude," he's like, I got an opportunity. We want to travel the country for a year. He's like, "Is there going to be a job for me when I come back?" I said, "For you, dude, absolutely." I was like, "Do it." You know what I mean? Take that. Excuse me. Take that leap of faith. And he said he had nothing but a blast.
Yeah, so I mean, as long as you do everything the right way,
Mhm.
I think you should take that risk. And I think everyone, I could be wrong about this, but I think everyone that I ask is gonna say there's a piece of risk that is super important to have, because if you just risk it, I mean, we talked about it 3 times already, just being comfortable.
Mhm.
You're doing something wrong, I think.
Yeah, you are, and
Yeah.
you're never gonna grow by just staying comfortable, man. You
Yeah.
know, and I try to tell guys this all the time when they first start out in this trade. Like you just got to go for it, and don't be afraid to fail. Every single successful person that you see out there has failed a lot of times,
A lot.
and failure. Don't look at failures as, damn, I suck. I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing. It's a lesson, and it's a lesson what not to do, so that when you get put into that whatever situation it is, you're gonna know how to handle it the next time. You know, like you look at like even like the big moguls, like you look at, the Jeff Bezos and guys like that. Like you think that they got to where they are by not getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, not taking those risks, absolutely not, and not grinding and grinding and grinding and keep
Yeah.
hitting it. And like I said, getting knocked down 8 times, getting back up 9. That's how you get there. You know.
Is there a failure that sticks out in your mind that you kind of overcame, that you can think of? At least I know I know there's a
Mhm.
lot for everyone, so if it's not something specific, that's fine.
A failure that I had to
It could have
overcome.
been, it can be personal, business. If not, I mean, like I said, I have a lot of late, but
Yeah,
it's not probably not the easiest thing to just kind of pull out.
yeah, that's a I would have to really reflect on that. Yeah, I mean, dude, everybody's had failures.
Yeah.
I really can't think of one that really sticks out to me, like right off the top of my head that I can tell you. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. I'm sorry.
No, no, you're good.
Yeah,
No, I just think
there's been plenty of situations though, man, that I wish I could that I've overcame and I've been proud of myself with. I would actually say I got it.
oh, there you go.
So the first time when I became a manager, I was not expecting it, right? And it was kind of thrown in my lap and said, "Figure it out, kid." That's kind of how it happened. I was at 23 years old. That's pretty scary. Like
Mhm.
really scary. I was not prepared for it. I was on my way to one of my other buddies' weddings. I was in the wedding and I get these texts and saying, "Congratulations, congratulations." Like, what the hell are these people congratulating me for? I got my, now your wife sitting in the passenger seat. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm like, I don't know. Get a phone call from the old man. He's like, "Yep, I booted so and so. You're promoted manager. See you Monday." Click. That was the end of it. So I'm like, oh my God. So I started thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, there's some guys in here that are way older than me that are not going to be happy that a 23-year-old kid is a manager of them.
Well, that's a good point right
So
there.
yeah,
Is being younger than some other people,
tough.
and rising above. I think that's a huge thing.
It was tough. So what ended up happening is as soon as I got back, I had personal meetings with every single employee that I worked with. And I said, listen, man, we are a team. I am not here to point the finger and be a dictator to you. I have a role to play, just like you have a role to play. Help me help you. We only accomplish what we can do is if we work together. And I'm here to make your job easier, and whatever you need from me, I'm here for you. You know. And despite that, almost every single person in that department left me. I almost had to start that department from ground zero at 23 years old.
Yeah.
So, and I overcame that. I
Yeah,
did. It was
I think
it's been a long road. It's been a long road, man. It was, I'm 29 now. So what is that? I'm this summer's coming up on 6 years. And it's been a lot of situations where it's been a couple steps forward, one step back, and not just employees wise. It could be customer wise. It could be, sales point wise. It could be, whatever the situation is. That was probably the biggest thing that I'm really proud of, that I was able to come back and that same year too, when I was posed with that situation, um, take the company out of the red. That first 6 months I was in that position, and actually make it break even, because at that point that the business was in the hole a bit, and I actually was able to make it break even, and that was a win in of itself.
yeah, there you go. That's a big
you
one.
know so that's probably of my career wise, I would say that's probably the biggest thing I overcame.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
that's a good point to it, because I think there's probably a lot of people, depending on what they do, that
Mhm.
they may be a manager or a supervisor over someone that's older than them, or that's even been in it longer. And I think that no matter how you got there or what's going on, I think that speaks volumes. So
Yeah,
definitely don't
it's
take it
just
lightly.
breaking bread with them, man. There's dictators and there's leaders. Like, you ever seen that meme where, like, it shows you a leader and a dictator, when you got like the dude, sitting on the throne, and they got like all these little stick figures carrying
I
the
think so. No.
weight, and the guy's like just pointing down, and then there's like the leaders at like the front of the pack, like hauling the weight with everybody else. That's
Oh
that's
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of
I think
that, you know what I'm
maybe
talking about.
yeah, maybe I
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, so that's kind of how, like, I try to lead, you know what I mean? Try to
Yeah,
lead
lead
by
by example.
example.
Yeah.
I try my best. I'm not perfect, man. No, nobody's perfect, but I'm always there for everybody that works for our company, and I treat everybody the same and with respect.
Love it.
So
Awesome.
how are you doing, dude? I haven't talked to you in a bit. How is life?
Life's good, man. It's busy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I got Landon's 4. He just turned 4 3 days ago. 4 months
Hmm.
old, not 4 years old. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
I know.
um,
Is he doing good, nice and healthy?
yeah, he's good. I got to spend a good amount of time with him this weekend, which was really nice. And
Yep.
pretty soon here, we're not gonna be able to blink because he's starting to roll over, and
Hmm.
he'll be
Yeah.
crawling before we know it. He's
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
but when he's not crying, he's smiling. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But
That'll be me in a couple of years, man.
you guys planning?
Yeah, yeah, a couple of years. I was trying to kind of shoot for, we're thinking of it at the same time. We want to like buy land and stuff. I
Yeah.
could have a kid and raise him in the house that we're in right now, but it's like it doesn't feel like my nest. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that's kind of what I'm trying to shoot for, that house and stuff like that. Because, dude, if there's anything I hate, more than anything, I hate moving. I royally hate it. I can't stand it. I get anxiety just thinking about it. So,
Yeah,
like,
it's
I
rough.
want to make that my home to like stay there. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I want it all to happen, if it does. And if
Yeah.
it doesn't and it happens early, hey, it is what it is. I'm prepared for it.
Yeah, moving's not fun.
No, not at all. Not at all. Especially if I can recommend anybody buying houses and stuff like that, don't do it in the wintertime in New England. I,
I
I
think
moved in on Valentine's Day, and it was snowy and tracking the salt all in the house, and
I think
just
I moved out of when I graduated. I moved out what 2 or 3 months after.
mhm.
Yeah, and it snowed
Yep,
first day.
yep,
Yeah,
yep. Sucky environment.
yeah, it's not
That's
fun.
why I want to move south, man.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, can you tell?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You think you're really gonna do it?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's cool. I'll have to. If
what?
you live in Tennessee, right?
I
Isn't
love
the tail
Tennessee.
dragging down that way?
It is in Tennessee.
Okay, so basically that's gonna give you an excuse. So if we find a
There you
dyno
go.
lowrider showing up to your house, and you're like, "What the hell is this?" That means I'm on my way.
There you go. Sounds good.
Yep.
But yeah, no, before, I mean, a couple years ago, it was always just like talk. But
Mhm.
as of late, you know what actually does bother me is
Mhm.
when I know people are just bullshitting and
Mhm.
they're everything they say is just that they'll never do it.
Yeah.
I can't stand that. I think if you want to do something, you got to make it happen. No, and everyone will have an excuse for something,
Mhm.
but it's if you actually can make it happen or not, I think is what sets you apart. And I
Yeah.
definitely will move it, whether I still have a house up here or not because of family.
Yeah.
Um, I probably will, but
Mhm.
in the winter months, I will not. In a couple of years, I will not be caught dead in New Hampshire.
Man, as much as I love snowmobiling and stuff like that, I can't say I blame you.
Yeah, even if it's only a couple months, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's fine, man. You're talking a lot of your stuff into fruition right now, man. So I
Yep.
have faith in you, dude. That'll be cool to
I
see.
mentioned it. I mentioned on the last podcast, but I had this whiteboard up in the office, and everything I've written down on there has come true. So I shouldn't. No, you know what? No, not come true. I've made happen.
Mhm.
Um. So yeah, I got big plans, and I don't
Yeah,
plan on slowing down. So
yeah, yeah. How about when did you start your business? Like how long has it been now?
June of last year, ten
June of last
months.
year. June of last year. That's awesome. How is how's your percentage on client growth been over every quarter? Pretty solid.
In the last 4 months, I've grown 700%.
Dude, that's solid.
Yeah.
That is solid.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean the
we
first couple months last year was, I mean, it was just starting, and then you start getting your feet wet, and
mm,
then you're done being,
line
yeah.
off to the races. You know what's nice about your job too, dude, is you can do it like remotely.
Yeah, and I have clients I work with, especially for social media and content base that are around here, but it's still stuff that I could make happen either way.
Mhm. Is one of your clients when because I saw your recent Instagram post, is it all season power sports?
Yeah,
Yeah, Keenan.
the
You
owner
know
Keenan,
Keenan?
I work with him. Yeah.
Yeah, Keenan's a good guy. I
He's a
actually
great
know
dude.
him through racing, believe it or not.
Yeah, no, I believe it. He's a good dude, and
Dude, he's good people. He's good buddies with one of my other buddies. That's my teammate that lives up in Maine. That's kind of where he's from.
yeah.
He's kind of from that area. He's good people.
Yeah, I've only been working with him about a month now, but yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's got some cool toys, so
Yeah. Well, he's worked for him, man. He hustles. He
yeah,
hustles
he
big time.
definitely
Yeah.
does.
I know, I think he started his business just a few years ago because he was, I forget what he was doing, but he was like started, kind of wheeling and dealing, buying and selling power sports and stuff, and just went full time for himself and has built himself a nice business.
Yeah, he's doing really well, and
Yep.
he upgraded spots from he was in Chichester, now he's in Epsom, which is
Yep.
actually right down the road from me. So
Yep.
I'm in there a couple times a week.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we have
he's a straight shooter too. I would buy stuff off him 10 out of 10 times.
yeah, and I
Yep.
can say from working with them and being in there, I would recommend them for sure. And so
Yeah.
if anyone has any questions, all season power sports in Epsom, New Hampshire,
Yep.
he's got all the goods right now. If
Shout
you
out
want to
to
see his Instagram page or his Facebook,
Yep.
or Kaiga, I just posted a video I think the other day, but all his
Mhm.
stuff on there, we started that content and it looks pretty good. So
That's awesome. That's
he's
awesome.
gonna make me want to buy one of those things.
What? By what?
UTV probably.
Dude, I want one, but you want to know what? For where I live, like I have to bring that thing like a couple hours north to even be able to drive it.
I
Um,
got a bunch of wood, so every day I'm like,
yes, you're a bit different. Like there's like I got the Derry Rail Trail by me, but it's just straight. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of
mhm.
gets boring. You do that one and done. If I lived like way farther up north, like in the Lakes region area or more north that way, like Berlin area, I would 10 out of 10 have one.
Yeah, he's got like an old Banshee four-wheeler in there too. It's so sweet.
Sick, sick.
So
That's
sweet.
awesome. Yeah, I'm all for it now. Like I do the snowmobile thing, but like when I buy my own personal stuff now, I'm all for the convenience at the end of the day because when you're working your butt off
You
all
want to
those
just be able to
times,
ride it, yeah.
Yeah, just literally go out of my driveway. I can't beat it.
Be towing and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially with the car too. Like I can actually like still do stuff even though it's a vet. Like I can actually go grocery shopping with it and
Yep.
run errands and stuff like that. And it kind of like makes like the honeydew list kind of fun if I can take the vet. So it kind of gives me an excuse.
Yeah, exactly. Takes
Yeah,
you stay out a little longer.
exactly. Like
Yeah.
take the longer road. What took you so long? Oh, nothing.
Yeah, I went through Maine.
Yeah, went through Maine. Yep.
Yeah, so been busy for sure. But yeah, I definitely enjoy it.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, we'll
Have
get
that have a pretty busy month coming up with some websites and stuff like that. So
good. Busy's good. Yeah, we're starting to I think we're at the end of our rope with heating PMs and we turn full on AC season starting Monday next week. So
I like to
AC
hear it.
yeah, man, AC season is actually the busiest time of year. This like April, like next week through the end of the year is our busiest time.
Good.
So,
Well,
I'm very
buckle
excited.
in.
Oh
Buckle in.
yeah, I'm ready, baby.
There you go.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, is there anything that that you had wanted to hit on today other than what we had brought up? That's all I had for notes. I just wanted to again catch up, and you bring a really unique perspective, especially with in my eyes being very successful for your age and how hard of a worker you are. So the
Yeah.
perspective is awesome. I love it.
Yeah, no, and I mean, and I don't want it to get it twisted for people out there. Like I wouldn't be in the position I am if it wasn't for the team that I surround myself with. That is the biggest thing for success is you gotta surround yourself with the right people, not just at work. You gotta surround yourself with the right people in your personal life. That's kind of where it brings that. And I mean, my dad's the one that started the business, and I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for him and him instilling me that drive and those practices to want to succeed and move forward,
Mhm.
and I just hope that one day when he finally can go retire, um I hope sooner than later. I hope that I can make him proud, and
Yep.
that's what I'm trying to achieve.
No, and I don't think anyone that's listening doubts that at all because
Yeah,
you're making big moves there, kid.
I'm trying to, man. I'm trying day
Love
in,
it.
day out. It's one foot in front of the other. It's just one day at a time. That's another thing I want to touch base on. It doesn't happen overnight, man. Just one foot in front of the other.
Yep.
Start with you can have the big goals, but start with small accomplishments, like
Mhm.
one day at a time, and just keep rolling that way, and everything will kind of just fall into place.
Yeah, and I think the little things are super important too. No matter what it is. I mean, especially if you're going to start a business,
Mm,
there's like 50 things in the beginning that are like, yes, 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 yes. Yeah, they
mhm.
might start to spread out, but it's just super important to like those really late nights or early mornings or no
Mm.
sleep. They all will add up, and it's important to keep moving and not just,
It'll
um,
pay off.
yeah, exactly.
It'll
Yeah,
pay off.
even though it doesn't
So.
seem like it. Watch this podcast again, and then you'll remember.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch this podcast and for those tough days that I'm having, I probably will just to kind of remind myself like, hey man, it may be tough now, but there's brighter days ahead, and just yesterday's yesterday, and tomorrow's a new day to make a difference.
Yeah, I
And
already rewatched the well, I edited the whole first one, but I already rewatched it. And I'm like,
mm,
and they're even just listening to it again, like I heard it from a different way because I wasn't in the conversation, I was listening. And so I hope to have a bunch of people on here that can all bring a lot of value, and just show a different way of how the best way to get there and
yeah,
how you can just keep moving forward and it all pays off. So
yeah,
hopefully we can get some more people. So if you have any recommendations, I'd love to hear them.
yeah.
And I in the intro I already talked about I will not have anyone on here that I don't truly look up to. So if they're on here,
Dude, you don't gotta look up to me, man. We're in the same rat race together, man. I'm not. We're the same, dude. You're trying to do your own thing and be successful for your family and yourself, and I'm just trying to do the same, man.
amen, amen, brother,
If-
amen, for
No, if
sure.
there's anything I can help you with for perspective and stuff like that, even off this record, I'm here for you, and I know the same deal. It goes both ways, man.
Yeah,
We also
absolutely.
have to hang out. We've been friggin' talking about it. I know you're busy and you live up, you're a
We
little bit
all are.
farther,
We all
but
are.
you got the baby. But dude, we gotta take some time because it's been a minute.
Yeah, no, we definitely should.
Yeah, big time.
But a great excuse for the podcast is being able to catch up for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to shout out my own business on here in case anybody needs anything?
Yeah, and I can put the website in the description as well.
Yeah. So I am the branch manager at Climate Design Systems. We're based out of Methuen, Massachusetts. We are fully licensed and insured in both Massachusetts and New Hampshire for plumbing and all HVAC needs. There is no job too big or too small for us, so feel free to reach out if there's anything we can provide for you.
And this is their site right here.
Yes, sir. That is us.
There you go. It's like spoken like a true businessman. Dang,
Man,
that was clean.
I have good training.
Yeah, that was good, right?
Yes,
Jesus.
sir. Yes, sir.
All right, buddy. Well, I appreciate it. I will put the website in the description as well as your Instagram. And do you want Facebook in there too?
Yeah, put in the Facebook. That's we get the most hits that way because
Perfect.
that's ran with the SEO guy. So
You
you guys
got
are
it.
able to send messages and actually go on our website. And if you want any type of appointments booked, it sends a direct email to our people in the office, and we can get in touch with you for whatever you need.
Awesome. You got it. I will make sure I add those in there. So
All right,
you can
kid.
see that below.
Awesome.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. It was good talking to you.